Hey everyone, welcome to Future Symphony, a podcast for hardcore papyrus by me, Corey Mark Fisher. The Gold Coast, with its gorgeous golden beaches and sweeping rainforested mountains, is the place that I call my home. And it happens to be filled with talented musicians and brilliant thinkers who I'm blessed to call my friends. In this podcast, Future Symphony, we talk to talented local people to get to the core of their creativity, with stunning insights into the highlights of life and love and the warm, wishful wisdom of everything that's good. This podcast was made for you. Welcome to Future Symphony. On today's episode, we talk to Jordan Baker AKA LGHTYR, who's about to drop his debut EP, Introspection. We get a sneak peek at that EP today and talk in depth about the science behind music production. There's heaps of sweet little tips and tricks in this talk, but before we get started, let's get a taste of some of LGHTYR's music.
Yeah. You like the old Apple TV, you ain't got no game. I'm the new worth more and I stand tall. Your girlfriend, she gonna upgrade. She with me, that's why you can't call her. All that shit that you represent is so lame. Just need an L on your forehead. I swear, y'all don't even know flame. But just to bakeries trying to get more bread. In my veins, that's propane. I mean, this shit will fucking blow up. She got wide caught up in a nose ring. Ain't man no limits when she throw up. I get her wet till she's soaking. Them Vicky secrets need to air out. Fuck it, go pick another pair out. I ain't got shit to care about. I used to take in your opinion.
Jordan Baker AKA LGHTYR, thanks for coming on the show today. How you going?
Good, man. I'm very, very good.
That's good.
Good to see you, man.
Beautiful. Yeah, good to see you too. So let's just start this off. Give us a brief history of who you are, where you come from.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I was born on the Gold Coast. I've been here for 24 years. I've made music since I was 10. My first kind of experience with music was with a close family friend who was a producer. And he used just kind of like an old 90s beat machine to make instrumentals. And that was when I made my first beat when I was like 11 years old, 10, 11. And from there, I've just kind of been teaching myself. I got a year education for a diploma of audio engineering. And then the last 3 years, I've just kind of been working on the music, getting it sounding right.
Cool, man. How old are you now?
I'm 24.
All right, so since 10, so 14 years.
Yeah.
Unreal. So why do you make music? If you've ever thought about it?
There's lots of reasons why I make music. My first experiences of making music were kind of like a just experimental kind of empowerment sense of feeling that I got when I made those songs. It was mainly just like loops, I think, that I used on GarageBand, and I just keyed in a few drum sounds, and I didn't even really have choruses or verses or anything. I just had like little dumb lines, like some of them rhymed, some of them didn't, and I recorded into like my dad at the time that he was living with us, he had a work computer, and it had like a little microphone, like kind of like one of those internal microphones that I guess they still have nowadays, but this thing was real old, and I just used to record all my verses into that with one of my friends that lived in the same area with me at the time. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good segue into us checking out one of the songs from your album to get a feel for your music. What do you got for us?
A good way to start, I guess, would be Recognize, the first track in this particular set of music that I wrote. That was in November 2015. That was kind of a big shift in my life. A lot of big things personally were going on around that time. I kind of looked at a lot of the things that I did before and a lot of the, not just musically, but just a lot of character traits. Just looked at a lot of the ways that I was living, and kind of influenced to live, and I just they didn't really sit with me. That was kind of the shift, and that's kind of what Recognize is about, where it's talking about you might be sitting with a person in the room, but you don't necessarily know who they are, what they have to give. So that's kind of where Recognize is just it's a real song based around perception. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess I'll play it.
Cool, yeah, chuck it on.
Yeah, cool.
Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. Every letter that's in, every sentence I say. Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. With every letter that's in, every sentence I sing. Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. Every letter that's in, every sentence I sing. Never held back on my head.
I'm tired that you recognize. Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. Every letter that's in, every sentence I sing. Never held back, I'm ahead of my league, so recognize. Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. Every letter that's in, every sentence I sing. Never held back, I'm ahead of my league, so recognize. I can be what you expecting of me. Got a surface, need a second to breathe. Pull the pin because the deck I'm repeating, I'm all pretending. Gotta get it, hell bent to succeed. Barely kept focused, need a new lens. Man, I started tight, so no loose ends. Getting loose to make my mood bend. Getting bent, making a huge mess, just to feel ruthless. Man, it's easy, but I'll play your bluff. Mixing ice cubes with Canadian club. Skate this thin ice, but I'm saving the pucks. Trying to make bucks without making it up. It's like my team's on a meal plan. You can say we do the same shit, and I don't think you're speaking straight, man. Call my dentist about some braces, and it don't even make sense. It's so fake, but you take it. The point I'm making, no more will I be set aside. Meet my demons that I've let survive. About time that you recognize. Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. Every letter that's in, every sentence I sing. Never held back, I'm ahead of my league, so recognize. Better recognize me, not by appearance, just a presence I bring. Every letter that's in, every sentence I sing. Never held back, I'm ahead of.
Something I was thinking about while I was listening to that track, right, is you've been working on this album for 3 years. And I'm watching you listen to this track, and you've listened to this track for 3 years.
Yeah.
What do you hear when you're listening to it? Because that's 3 years of your life. When I listen to it, it's fresh. When you're listening to it,
it's weird, man. Like it's weird. You're right. I've heard these songs thousands of times. I'm not sick of them. I'm no way, shape, or form sick of them. I still love them. I guess it's like your children, like that you can get mad at them sometimes, but like I don't have kids, but I imagine that's what it's like. Like at least mine can't get lost as easy. I can back mine up. So,
what are some of the things that you've learnt in that time? Like, where were you at 3 years ago when you began this?
So I was applying a lot of the same things that I do now. I've just kind of polished them and rounded them off a lot better. Like I still pretty much was in the same space. I hadn't built my booth. Me and one of my friends built my vocal booth. He invested a lot of time and also money into it, which I'm forever grateful to as well. Like he spent like a whole month with me building that thing.
What's the benefits of having a vocal booth?
For me, it was isolation. Like I ideally would like to not have a vocal booth. And just have a nicely well-treated room, which you kind of, like when we sit in here, it's nice to talk. Like you can hear slight little bits of reverb, but nothing too crazy, nothing extreme. Whereas when you go in there, it's a very dead sound. So, which is great for processing those vocals, but it's not the best experience when you're in there performing. Like, whereas when I'm sitting out here, I feel like I can get really energetic and I've got lots of space and like, I feel like I'm not contained. Whereas I feel personally in a vocal booth, I can be a bit contained. Like the animal kind of comes out of me a bit, and I don't like the being closed in. I'm not claustrophobic. Like you can put me in a locker for a whole day.
Right.
But
so what do you do to combat that though? How do you get the feeling and the energy like you're in an open vibing space but in the vocal booth?
I fit lights in there. I make it really, really dark and just put coloured lights in. And I usually just shut my eyes. And then I just get little slight bits of the colour coming through. And I usually base the colour around the type of song that it is.
Seriously?
Yeah, definitely,
Cool.
man. Colours to me make a big difference when it comes to music. Like, I believe kind of like in the science of colours. I think every colour represents something. And I think that there's a real reaction to colours that if you have that around you at a certain time, it can really either amplify or subtract whatever it is that you're feeling. And I kind of know how colours work for me. So like if I want to feel, for example, in my song Faded, the chorus, I wanted it to just be kind of like I'm just sitting there talking to. I wanted it to be really just relaxed. And it's a very intense song. Like it's a very, very hard, intense song. But I wanted the chorus just to feel like we're just sitting here talking. I'm just like, why is this? Why is that? So for that, I just had like a blue light. For the chorus, for the verses, I had purple, because purple to me represents a lot of things. Purple represents kind of like a really, really big color for me when I talk about anything that surrounds my personal trait. So when I'm talking about either a way that I act or why am I like this, or it's really good that I do this, I usually use purple. Purple's kind of like my reinforcement color, I guess. Red
To do with yourself.
Yeah.
Right,
So
interesting.
I'll have a purple light on in here when I'm making beats. Purple, that's my color.
Cool.
When I'm in here just working and I want to focus, I'll use blue. So I have like my desk lights on blue. I like gold for when I'm in here smoking. I like gold. I don't know. I smoke in here a lot, so you'll find that they're like, because they change right now. So that's usually when I'm not set in any kind of like creative pattern. They just kind of fluctuate. But yeah, my main colors are definitely blue, purple, red, and yellow.
Well, this room's orange.
Yeah.
The walls are anyway.
Yeah.
What does orange do for you?
Nothing, man. I really don't like orange.
Can we talk for a moment about your studio and the dynamics of the room, and going back to bass traps again, and how
Yeah.
for anyone out there who doesn't maybe really know what the importance is, or
Yeah, definitely, man.
you know, what it's done for you?
Like I don't have the best room for mixing at a high end level. It's great. Any room's great, man. Like you can make any room do whatever you want for. You don't need to have a particular room. Just everything that you can tick off is just going to make it sound that little bit better. I could hear when I spoke or when I played music loud in this room, the bass was just really overwhelming, which I like. I really like. I'm a massive bass enthusiast, so like I have subs in my car. Like I just love bass. I love the feeling of bass, the power of bass. So I'm all for it. But when it comes to making music, it's really far from ideal. So I looked into ways that I could reduce the impact of my room against my music, because I would notice my music would sound amazing. Like 2 years ago, you could have come over to my house and listen to my songs through my monitors, and you'd be like, wow, these are incredible, they're ready. I'd mix them down and then play them in my car or play them on anything else, and they would just fall apart and just sound terrible. And I would just keep adjusting the things I thought were right, thought were wrong. But a lot of the time with music, when you adjust one thing, there's a few other things you need to adjust as well. So like say, a big thing for me was the bass, because I was hearing way too much of it in the room. I wasn't actually adding enough of it in the songs. The way that I worked it out was just through research, really. Was just like Googling the problematics of what was happening, pretty much just asking the question, why, if A, this, does B happen? That was pretty much what I was doing, and how I learned that my room was kind of making me feel like there was more presence where there wasn't. So I was getting all of these, they're called reflections. So reflections off side walls, back walls, the roof. Luckily I've got carpet, so it's not too bad from the floor. It's still there, but not too bad from the floor. but mostly there was just a lot of build up in the corners, because there's lots of corners in this room where the bass sits, and bass is kind of a real heavy sound wave. Obviously it's not physically heavy, although it requires a much denser material for it to pass through than, say, a higher frequency.
Okay.
So I basically had to try and find a way to eliminate that, which through research I found that the corners store a lot of that energy, and that's kind of where it sits, so that's why it stays. So I'll hear it like an initial bang, but that will last a lot longer than what the actual sound hit for. So I would take that into account, because you do things by ear, obviously, when you're mixing, and I'd apply that, but it's not what's actually happening. So I've over-applied something that didn't need to be applied. I basically looked up some people who made their own bass traps, super chunks, whatever you want to call them. Mine aren't really like super, because they're about half the size of what they should be. But as you can see with the size, they kind of fit where they need to.
Yeah.
So they absorb a lot of the low end frequency. So like when I play this song, for example, which is Faded.
You like the old Apple TV, you ain't got no game. I'm the new worth more and I stand tall. Your girlfriend, she gonna upgrade. She with me, that's why you can't call. All that shit that you represent is so lame.
It's got that like real like low like rumble to it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of my songs do have that. That a lot of that is getting absorbed into those pads. Because before, all of the bass in that would have sounded nice. Like it would have sounded really overwhelming and really bassy, like you were sitting in the back seat of a car with a sub.
Right.
But when you're mixing, it's not what you want. Listening, it's a great environment. Like, put some big speakers in a small room, like you'll have a crazy time.
So if that's not what you want in mixing, then how do you get what you need in mixing, but then get that feeling of the sub in the back of the car?
With mixing, that was the big thing for me to learn, I guess, was like mixing, you're achieving basically just a flat sound. And by flat, everyone kept saying that to me, like you have to have a flat sound, and I just never knew what that meant. I was never like, okay, like I get what you're saying, but what does that mean? And it's just basically making sure that there's something hitting the frequency chart all at the right time. So like say your snare, your kick, your vocal, your hi-hats, like they're all cohesive with each other. There's not one thing that just spikes out of the blue that's up high in the frequency range. And if you don't understand the frequency range, a sub is down anywhere from say like 20 hertz to 100 hertz would be, I guess your sub. And from then you start getting into more of a punch, which is like your low range. And that's like your kick drum and your bass guitars and things like that. You start to get up around 400, which is like electric guitars, 600 upwards, depending on male or female or singing type. You get vocals and so on. So you get all percussive instruments and things like that. So everything sits in its own range. And it's just making sure that everything sits well with each other. They all glue together. And unless it's done for an artistic flair, not to have anything really spiking too hard. Yeah.
So, after all that, man, let's listen to another one of your tracks, because
this song I wrote basically around the people who were supporting me through this time, and just kind of how I was feeling about it at the time that I wrote this song.
Cool.
So yeah, this is my team.
Nah, you ain't fucking with my team, my family, my blood, my genes. My team, my lady, my future babies, cause they save me on a daily, and that shit amazing. Man, I'm talking about years, and I've had enough.
I need leverage, I'm at a slump, feeling stuck and have a hunch, I'm at limits. Straight edge friends, I'm mad as fuck, I'm bent around off this bag of dust. I'm battered up, my thoughts are adding up, but I had a puff and yo, I'm back in it. Man, I'm talking about tears. What do you know about that? See, all my homies, they've taken hits, but we throw them right back. We gotta play smart, cause we've seen a trap, seen easy cheese, and needing that, we've seen the rats. Me, I needed raps, yo, why am I stuck? I'm spoiled with options, just missing some luck, and ignoring my problems. I promise I'ma make changes, I don't swear to God, but if you caught a glimpse of this lifestyle, send a prayer to yours.
No, you ain't fucking with my team, my family, my blood, my genes. My team, my lady, my future babies, cause they save me on a daily, and that shit amazing. I don't wanna hear your problems when I've got too many of mine.
Yeah, so that's my team.
Big question I got for you is, do you have any advice for any musicians that are, or beat producers or anything, that are less experienced than you and might be they might be halfway through what you were doing a couple of years ago, or...
Advice, man.
Because you're talking about you were going through slumps as well, and
well, talk to people is the big one for me. Like, because if I didn't talk to anyone about it, I'm kind of getting the support back when you feel like your support's been drained. Because you can get like that. Anyone can get like that, any field, especially if it's something that's very, very kind of mentally demanding. And there's lots of occupations out there that are extremely, extremely mentally demanding. So yeah, talking to people when it comes to the music side of things, is just trusting your own instinct, I think is a really big one. You'll never stop learning. So, I don't think people should really change who they are or what they do based on education, which I started to go down that road and I kind of turned myself around from. Because I feel like I did start to change things a bit too much after I did learn a bit more about it and why I did the things that I was doing. So just kind of sticking to your instinct. But more importantly, just like being consistent and having fun. Because the biggest thing for me is, while I've been making this music, for me it's been a really big thing, but for everyone else out there, I've kind of haven't really been around, you know what I mean? Like I've been in here learning and making this. I haven't really been present. So keeping present is probably a big thing that I would suggest. Even if it just means doing little like videos, because I see like a lot of my homies kicking out like little freestyle videos every couple of weeks and that kind of thing, and that's massive because that makes me interested in their music. And that's one thing where I've slipped and know that I won't have that following, and I'm gonna have to kind of start again, even though I've been making music for. Yeah, like my first release of any kind would have been 11 years ago, 10 years ago. So like I've been making music a long time, but I'm going to pretty much have to start again. Staying present is a really, really, really big factor, I think, because that 3 years, you can imagine the kind of traction that you can get on something in a time span of 3 years. So that's a big thing. And just... yeah, that have fun. Like that's the thing that I kind of started to lose a bit. Was just having fun making music.
Cool, man. Awesome. Well, hey, let's wrap up this interview.
Yep.
With one final question.
Yep.
Jordan Baker, LGHTYR, what is the meaning of life?
Meaning of life. Oh man.
It always makes people smile, that question.
It's just funny because this question, depending on when you ask me and what time of the morning or night that it is, it can have a very, very different answer. The meaning of life for me would be having a personal sense of accomplishment, and something that can be recognized as great. That's kind of the meaning of life to me. And when I say great, like I'm not saying like saving 50 kids from a building fire. Like it could be something simple as like, being that person on the other line of the phone call when they need it, like what I was talking about before, or, just completing that thing that you've always wanted to do that you thought you couldn't, or you were told that you couldn't. Those kinds of things, like even if it's what might to someone else seem like a small thing, just that accomplishment, I think that's the real meaning of life. And if you can do those things that you set your mind to, you can die happy. So if you die happy, I guess that's a good life, right?
For sure, I agree with you. I hope you die happy after releasing this album, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will.
Congratulations, man. All right, well, hey, leave us with one last song.
Yeah.
Let us know what it is, and thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you, bro.
And yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You can plant seeds all day long. Go around knocking on doors and auditioning. You can do all of that every day of your life, and nothing happens. When a seed is planted in the ground, all you can do is water it. You cannot control the sunshine. You cannot control the weather.
I'll be in my garden till the morning.
All you can do is plant your seed in the ground.
I'll be in my garden till the morning.
Water it and believe.
How to build an enterprise in the jungle. When so quick to criticize, and all these eyes that will judge you. God, you got into troubles, but the poison of bubbles, the soil will soak the roots, gotta guzzle. So eat the produce, to go without eating. That's the question I'm asking myself while I'm still breathing. Trying to spread a message for a real reason. We're moving funds offshore, people here are still needing. I've been smoking too much, whoa, I'm still dreaming. So out of touch in the evening when you'd see me. Enlightened by my family and my homies, please believe me, I was about to fall. I had to check the direction I'm leaning in and felt support. It's all that I needed. When all I saw was doubt, being greeted made me hated. I put in all these years feeling cheated, but I narrowed in my focus to the people that I be with, man, I mean it. A conversation with my boy had me quiet when he was like, why do you need to speak violent? We always feel what you're feeling, you could be silent. No words will translate fine. You don't need bias or bias around. It's all good from here on. Like right from that minute the fear's gone. I've done this for 10 years but haven't been here long. I mean a point where the feeling is real strong. And I'll be in my garden till the morning. A place without laws, only where I'm at inside or outdoors. Outpoured love for my people, never outsourced. Proud falls of lost travelers with a found cause. My garden's what I call it. And I'll be in my garden till the morning. Meanwhile, I'm restricted.
Hey everyone, if you're still here, thank you very much for listening. Make sure to check out LGHTYR on Facebook and Instagram. His EP, Introspection, will be dropping very soon, so keep an ear out for that. Jump on board and enjoy the ride. On the next episode, we'll be talking to Damien Shields, a Gold Coast-based journalist whose evidence is being used to sue Sony for releasing fake Michael Jackson tracks after his death. It is easily the most fascinating interview I've ever conducted. You'll never look at Michael Jackson, Sony Music, or lawyers in the same way again. If you want to follow me, you can find me at Hardcore Papyrus on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to check out my website at hardcorepapyrus.com. I make a whole bunch of different content, including videos. I'm not sure where the journey will take us, but we are certainly going somewhere good. The links are in the description below. If you do want to help me out at all and say thanks for this show because you're enjoying it, then please share it with your friends and family. That's the best way that you could say thank you, because it helps me to reach people I couldn't otherwise reach. And if you do that, thank you very much. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.